Balloon Fiesta 84, hosted by Eyewitness News' Bill Eisenhood and Susan Muchagemba. Today's Balloon Fiesta 84 is brought to you by Solar Age, setting the standards. Stroh's Beer, from one beer lover to another, Stroh's. Burger King, aren't you hungry for Burger King now? PSA Airlines, catch our smile. Scott Stucco, serving Albuquerque for over 30 years. And the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. And now, here are Bill and Susan.
Good morning, Albuquerque.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Bill Eisenhood, Susan Muchagemba here with me, and Emily Aiken.
Right.
We have a absolutely perfect morning out here for the 13th annual International Balloon Fiesta here in Albuquerque. We're out at Cutter Field. The weather is absolutely gorgeous.
As you predicted?
Well, as a matter of fact, I lucked out on that one,
We're
didn't
so glad you have chosen to join Bill and Emily and I, and let's say tens of thousands of other folks for breakfast and balloons this lovely, lovely morning. I already have my first breakfast burrito in front of me. Can't wait to get to it. It's going to be a great day. We have all sorts of things planned for you, and one of the reasons you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff is the lady over there, Emily Aiken, who's going to be out on the field.
That's right, Susan. All sorts of things. There's so many balloonists with so many things to tell. First, we're going to go over and talk to a man who really knows about the history of ballooning, a name familiar to us all, Sid Cutter. Then I'm going to try and get a hold of some men from way down south, South Africa, and see what in the world they're doing up here. Want to talk to some people about not only why they do it, what are the good things, but what's the really lousy thing about ballooning? Or how do you fold a balloon? Or how do you make a basket? Or what's important or what's not? Just to fill you in on some of the details that goes on behind the scenes out there.
And we have some tape packages that we're going to have a look at. I think we'll all learn something from all this. I know I'm going to learn how to fold a balloon from you. And there's quite a day. We have the mass ascension coming up in about a half an hour to 45 minutes. And the Army Golden Knights parachute team will be here in about 10 or 15 minutes to jump out of an airplane here right over us. So it's going to be quite a day, and we'll be telling you about the day as we go along here. I think we're going to go to a commercial break now, and when we come back, we'll be having about 2 hours of a great, good time and lots of pretty stuff to look at floating around in the sky.
Join us.
We'll be back.
Welcome back, New Mexico. Breakfast and Balloons with us here at KOB-TV, the 13th Annual Balloon Fiesta. And with us this morning is the media coordinator, a lady of many talents and many successes, Jean Jordan. And it's, can you relax now? Now that it's almost off the ground?
Oh, I know. This is not till the 14th, the 15th.
Definitely. Now, the event has grown in the past 13 years to over 450 balloons. Where foreign countries have they come from? And being a media coordinator, what sort of media people do you have to deal with from all these places?
Well, the balloonists have come from Hungary, from South Africa, East Africa, Sweden, Bahamas, England, Canada. Those are some of the balloons. And the media, of course, comes from everywhere. We have media people also from Africa, Tokyo, every place.
How do you coordinate South Africa, and what information are they looking for? Is this, it's not as though ballooning is terribly foreign to them. They do have quite a ballooning club down there, but what are they looking for?
You mean the media people? Or no, they're just obviously covering people from their own country, and that's, when media people always follow what they think is the information. If the thing that's of interest, if you have a balloonist from Afghanistan, there's going to be probably a media person from Afghanistan, right there. So the only thing I can think of is that possibly they came for the Olympics, and they just stayed around. We have a lot from East Africa and South Africa, a lot.
And this is the first year, really, that you've had...
Yes, a lot. Yes.
Just another note. We were going to have the World Gas Balloon Championships here, and it's not going to be now, but we are still going to have gas balloon race for people that are interested in it. Am I right?
Oh, yes. This is the 4th year, and they'll start inflating, about noon tomorrow, and they'll take off. They'll launch between 5 and 7, and that will be an overnight. That's a follow the leader, hare and hound. And we have 5, possibly 6, I'm still trying to get that verified, 6 balloons. Those are the really enormous ones, but they'll be inflating from noon till at least 5 or 6.
And what kind of distances will they be going?
Oh, they can go quite far. I remember one year I was tracking, and one ended up in Wyoming. I think that was an accident but he did end up in Wyoming.
Just so they're back here for next week's Mass Ascension.
Have to be back.
Very good. Gene, thank you. It's going to be a hectic week for you, but I don't think your life is anything much more than that.
Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Thank you.
Very good. Gene Jordan, who is the media coordinator for this 13th annual Balloon Fiesta, probably one of the busiest people you're going to see around the past month and the month coming up. Right now, the El Dorado High School Band is going to be on the field. If you look behind and look out into the field, conservative estimate, Bill, 50, 75,000.
Geez, yeah, there's a tremendous... we had an awful time getting here this morning.
This is true.
Traffic was backed up all the way halfway to the Big I from here.
You can't be prepared. You can't be too prepared for something like this. You have to start out early. You have to know where we're going. And later in the show, we are going to give you some tips on how to get here quickly and with as less stress as possible. Now let's go down to Emily Aiken, who's at for the opening ceremonies. Emily.
Thanks, Susan. We've just heard from Tom Rutherford, who is an old veteran at this. That's for sure. He's been doing this for a long time. In fact, he helped put together the first Balloon Fiesta many years ago. Part of the opening ceremonies includes a great performance by the El Dorado High School Band. Believe it or not, out with all these people is the El Dorado High School Band. They're just warming up their instruments now. Haven't quite started to perform, but as soon as they do, of course, we'll let you hear some music from them. Later on in this segment, I'm going to be talking to a man who organizes all this, particularly what goes on up in the air. That's the launch director, but I'll talk to him a little bit later. And pretty soon we're going to be hearing from the El Dorado High School Band. I'm going to pitch it on back to you, Susan and Bill.
I got him. Well, hi there. I guess we have I see an airplane back here, but that's not the one we're looking at. We have a package coming up here I want to show you, which is the Army Golden Knights parachute team. This will tell you a little bit about what those guys are doing, and then we're going to see them actually jump right out here at the field. So why don't we go to that right now?
Okay, TJ.
These are just regular Army soldiers. They're all non-commissioned officers, no big wigs with big brass, right?
Right. We're unique in that we're all enlisted men.
One of the main attractions at this year's Balloon Fiesta will be the performance of the Golden Knights, the Army's official parachute demonstration team. These specially selected airborne soldiers are recognized as the finest precision parachuting team in the world, with 48 national parachuting titles and 6 world titles to their credit. Back in 1959, when the Golden Knights began, the team consisted of only 12 members. Today, there are more than 82 men and women on the team working in 6 sections: the headquarters section, the aviation section, 2 demonstration squads, and 2 competition squads. The demonstration squads have performed before millions of spectators in all 50 states and in 31 foreign countries. As the jumpers maneuver through the sky, small canisters attached to their feet release a dark red smoke that allows spectators to follow the jumpers' movements. The competition squads participate in parachuting competitions throughout the world. Competition is divided into 2 major divisions: style and accuracy and relative work. The Golden Knights have members competing in both events. Now, the Golden Knights use a rectangular-shaped parachute called a ram air, which is a highly maneuverable wing-type glider. Unlike the round airborne-type parachute, in which the air goes through the bottom and out the top, the ram air flies on a cushion of air. Since 1959, the Golden Knights have made close to 500,000 jumps and have won more national and international titles and set more world records than any other parachute team in the history of the sport. This fall, in commemoration of their silver anniversary, the Golden Knights will attempt to break all records set in previous years. Now, although the Golden Knights take pride in the records they set and the precision in which they perform their skills, they consider their main purpose for existence to be far more important.
What we are is we're public relations men for the Army. Most of the people we meet have never met a soldier, and their only conception of the military is what they see on TV. And what we try to do is to show them by our presence, by our behavior, that the Army, the military, is a lot more than what they see on TV. So it's basically public relations, meeting them and trying to give them a good feeling about their military.
All right, and we're going to see the Golden Knights jumping here very shortly, live right out here
Scanning the skies, waiting for them.
So from the 13th International Balloon Fiesta, the really big one, out here at Cutter Field, We're going to take
surprise you to know that the quiet, elegant works of art at the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta have a jet airline as an official sponsor, PSA. How dare we make all this noise about our sponsorship? Because PSA Super 80s and Smiliners are among the quietest jetliners in the air. We felt if we didn't tell you this way, you never would have heard it.
Welcome back, Channel 4, 13th Annual International Balloon Fiesta. You're joining KOB and tens of thousands of other Albuquerqueans out here at Cutter Balloon Fort. Emily Aiken is out in the field with a lady who has probably more ballooning records than her share, and that's Dr. Carole Davis, and she's going to teach us about ballooning.
Yes, you should get your balloons out at home now and get them laid out on the rug. We're going to teach you how to fold them.
This is show and tell, folks. Here we go.
Emily.
Well, Bill, I hope you have a big backyard to unravel some of these balloons. As you can see, they're just pulling their balloons out, ready to inflate it. Actually, this crew is going to be putting on a banner, and with me is Carole Davis and her balloon crew. You've been doing this for quite a while.
Right.
But you never get tired of it.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, what I want to know, and what a lot of people who are out there watching want to know is, first of all, how do you fold one of these things up so that you can unfold it without tying it in knots?
Well, it's not anything like a parachute where it's real particular how you put it back in the bag. We just stuff it back from the top, back into the bottom. And then you can see down here where the cables are, there's a certain way that you attach the cables to the balloon. So
you're talking about where the cables hook up to the gondola.
Right, the gondola
okay.
Hooks up to the basket. There's a certain way in which they hook up so the balloon's not twisted.
Okay, but there's no trick in folding it once this way and then once the other way?
Nothing like a parachute.
You mean you just stuff it like you're stuffing a sleeping bag?
That's right.
Oh, no, there goes all the mystery. Okay, how about when you're unrolling it? What sort of things do you have to watch out for?
Well, obviously, you look at the area that you're going to lay out. You watch around to make sure that there's nothing on the ground that will hurt the balloon in the way of rocks or trees or anything like that. And then you pull the balloon out by its side so that it's right on the ground.
Okay, and then you turn the helium over and you start blowing the hot air into the balloon, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The balloon over.
Okay. Carole Davis from Albuquerque. Thanks a lot, Carole. Good luck. Have fun up there.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Susan and Bill.
Say hi to Carole there. I haven't seen her in a long time, Emily. We have the airplane in sight here with the Blue Knights.
I think it's coming right over.
There we are. Looks
there
like
it is. What kind of plane is that, Bill? Tell me a little bit about...
Well, I don't know a lot about it. It's a C-130, I believe. It has it's a 4-engine turboprop, one of the great all-purpose cargo airplanes that the services use. They're coming right over the field here now, and I imagine they're going to be jumping within about the next 10 or 15 seconds. Geez, I've never seen this. This is really neat.
Do we have room for them if they land right here?
We'll keep the camera right on the airplane there.
There we go.
They're straight over.
The Golden Knights have won like 6 national jumping or national parachuting, 6 world parachuting championship titles, 48 national titles. They, of course, the United States Army parachute
They've
team.
flown over and are flying away now, and I don't see anybody jump.
Don't leave, guys. Come back. They do this all year round, from the months like from March through September, and they do demonstrations, something like 3,900 demonstrations. The average age of the Golden Knight, is about 26 years old, and he has had about 1,200 parachute jumps at that tender age. And he is, and he's an Army man. He has many other occupational skills. This is his hobby. This is his contribution. They're banking. Is that right? Am I right? Is it a bank?
My guess is that they overflew the field and will make a 360-degree turn and come back and make their jump on the next pass. Of course, I guessed last time, and I was wrong then, too. So we'll keep one eye on the airplane there, and the other eye back on the field behind us.
13,000 feet. What is it like up there? The wind currents they have to deal with?
This morning, no. I don't believe there's much in the way of wind. The wind's aloft. That's another thing I wanted to mention.
There's all the crowds watching and waiting, too.
The pilot balloon that went up this morning from the National Weather Service picked up winds out of the north at about 10 miles an hour on the ground, and as we went up in 1,000-foot increments, they were northwest or northwest at anywhere from 3 to 5 miles an hour, which means that if those winds still persist at this moment, that the balloons will very likely drift right up over the central part of the Northeast Heights, which is perfect.
Really, folks, go out in your backyard and make sure you wave at them. They're really nice people. They do wave back. Balloons, it's a touch-and-go situation, but balloons can go up or launch in 10-mile-an-hour winds, but anything much more than that, no. They're going right over us again.
There they go.
There they come.
They're off.
The Golden Knights of the U.S. Army. Goodness, Bill, they may land on this set.
It's the Golden Knight.
Oh, that's one
There's
night.
only one guy there. Imagine making your living like that. That looks like a lot of fun.
Now, the canister is attached to his boot.
Oh, there's some skydivers. If you look
Directly?
just, I'll help the camera, go just to the right of where the parachute is now. There's something floating down there. Can we pan the camera back this way?
I think you'll find those are the free fall.
Those can't be skydivers. They're not falling fast enough, Susan. What are we looking at there?
Not really.
Maybe I'm having hallucinations. I haven't been up this early in the morning in 8 years.
Look at him play the winds. Look at him play the winds.
Yeah, that's terrific. I'm not sure what we're seeing. Let me help.
My guess is
help the camera, Elizabeth. It's to your.
It's just to give him an idea.
Underneath the first plume of smoke here. I'm sorry, Susan. Excuse me.
My idea is, and it's strictly a guess, but perhaps these are markers to give him an indication of where the wind is going
That could
and
be
what direction.
Either that or somebody's pants fell off and are floating down there.
Those are the other nights. He stays aloft quite a while.
Where's the... No, the plane is behind me. I'm getting a crick in my neck here.
It's amazing, the entire crowd, and I imagine we're up to nearly 100,000 people, or we will be by the time this is all over. Everybody's skyward, and we have some balloons that are starting to inflate. Carrying the U.S. flag, and look at the breeze. One night. He is directly above our area here. The special events area is directly east of us. I think that's where he intends to land. And those are streamers, and perhaps that is what he is going to try to land for.
Either that, or I think
they're going to be on a roof.
Getting some idea of the winds, possibly. That's kind of my guess. Here he comes. Don't look at us. Look at him. He's more interesting.
Bravo.
Landing right here in front of us. All right.
I had some folks in my way.
The Army Blue Knight. I mean, Golden Knight. What am I thinking of? The Blue Knights. What is that? That's a Wamba novel, isn't it? I see the airplane making a bank. I believe we're going to have some skydivers, and they got the smoke stuff and all of that. He's banking. He's about 5 miles out. We'll be making another pass over the field here, I believe.
Mm-hmm. You look behind you, Bill. Some of the balloons, the half spheres.
Oh my gosh!
Are going up behind us.
Quite a transformation of the field here behind me.
Daylight does that. Now that we can see. It's the marvelous thing about the Balloon Fiesta and all. Balloonists really enjoy having the crowds around. They like showing the people about things like folding up a balloon, how they let it out, how they blow, inflate the envelope in balloonist terms. They're really very happy about having the crowd out. They do also advise that you stay out of their way and stay out of the front of the balloon, because those things, once they get moving, they have quite a mass and they can just flatten you.
Yes, the transformation taking place here behind us. It always sort of reminds me of reality is disengaged for a while. It looks like we're in the land of Oz here or something with big Easter eggs behind us. And the plane is climbing now and nearly over us once again. We need to get a camera on that because I think those guys are about to jump out. Was there 5 or 6 of them?
No, we may have seen our one jump for the day.
I think they're going to go for it here, Susan. We need to get a camera, guys, up on the airplane. It's right over us.
Okay, can't get the camera quite up there. That's all right. We're spanning the field now, and as you can see, the first wave of balloons are being inflated. They go off in 4 different ways. You can't exactly have 450 balloons go off at one time, not with all the people down there. There's just no room. So they go in waves, and the field has been divided, if you can imagine, into a big grid system. There are 4 balloonists in each grid, and they will take off one at a time from each square. Just make believe it's a big puzzle out there. And I know you'd probably have to be way, way up above them just to see how the puzzle works.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a minute.
I'm out here on the field, everyone. As you can see behind me, these balloons are starting to inflate like mushrooms. I'm going to tell you how they do it and the tricks about inflating a balloon in just a little bit. But first, ballooning's been going on for an awful long time, a lot longer than this balloon fiesta's been around. So for a look at the history of balloon, here we go. Here's a little bit of a story, the history of ballooning. This year, the 13th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta marks the 201st anniversary of hot air balloon flight. Ballooning began way back in 1783 when the Montgolfier brothers entertained a crowd of about 40,000 people along with the King and Queen of Versailles. What they did is they sent aloft a smoke-filled balloon. The first passengers, however, were a duck, rooster, and a lamb. The first man-untethered balloon flight carried its passengers 3,000 feet into the air a little bit later that year on November 21st, 1783. 1 year later, the first hot air balloon flight in the United States occurred when a 13-year-old boy named Edward Warren ascended over Baltimore in a paper hot air tethered balloon. The first ascent in Albuquerque took place 99 years after the first flight. Park Van Tassel owned and operated a balloon called the City of Albuquerque. The balloon was one of the main attractions for the 4th of July celebration at the Territorial Fairgrounds. When the balloon finally lifted off, it reached an altitude of 14,207 feet, up and over the Rio Grande before it came to rest in a cornfield. This flight by Van Tassel marked the beginning of ballooning support from the general public. Albuquerque volunteered to go without gas for 2 days in order to make the inflation possible. And then in 1971, Albuquerque's Sid Cutter celebrated his family's flying service company and the birthday of his mother with a Raven balloon inflated as a centerpiece in the company's hangar. The family event has become a part of ballooning history because of its impact on the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. The first World Hot Air Balloon Championships were held at the State Fairgrounds right here in Albuquerque in 1973. A year before, the city hosted its first rally when 16 balloons took off from a local shopping center. Look at that. Look at that up there. Can you believe it? How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skydivers, all with that beautiful orange trail behind them, just making zigzags in the air. I'll tell you, they're a good thing to start the stage with out here at the Balloon Fiesta. Come on down with their parachutes and then that nice orange smoke against the blue sky. You can't beat that. Looks like they turned their smoke off and are heading on down to earth before these balloons get up in the air. There they come, 2 of them you see in your screen there. And believe it or not, there are men on the other end of those parachutes. Just coming on down 3 you see in your screen. 1 is almost down on the ground. You can look down at the bottom of your screen. He's pretty close to touching down. They look like little G.I. Joes that just came out of a toy store. Okay.
What?
Time to
Move it forward.
Where do you want to put it?
All right, sun's in my eyes there. That's why you saw me shading my eyes a bit. I'm out here on the field. As you can see, they're getting ready to take off. There are several waves in this balloon fiesta, and the ones you see inflating are the ones that are going to be going up in the first wave. With me is Glenn Scott.
No, Bill Glenn.
Bill Glenn. I knew I'd get it wrong, from Roswell, but I got the place where you're from correctly.
That's
Welcome,
right.
Bill. Bill is
Glad to be
just
here.
about ready to blow up his balloon. He's going to tell us how you do it and some tricks to blowing up the balloon. Okay, what's the first thing you do after you get the balloon all laid out?
Okay, after we stretch it out, we check it out to make sure everything's ready.
Which it
Everything's
is,
safe,
right?
Everything's
Okay.
safe. So our next procedure will be to start the inflator, fill it up with cold air, which is ambient air.
Okay, so you don't put the hot air in it right away.
We don't put hot air in right away. Then we heat the air with the burners, the onboard burners that you hear. That's a noise you hear.
Oh, so you are not putting hot air in the balloon, you're just heating the air that's already there.
Yes, we're heating the cold air that's already trapped in the balloon.
Okay.
And like the principle would be a paper bag, blowing up a paper bag, same thing.
All right, now how do you keep from burning up the balloon when those things fire up?
We actually pull the throat of the balloon back over us, so we're something like that. Sometimes that happens.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and get started, and we'll get a couple of pictures
we'll
of
give
you
it a
all
try.
start doing it.
Let's go ahead and start the fan.
How far you want to go to the pilot?
Okay. First they turn on the fan.
If you're interested in coming out here for the festivities here this morning, or tomorrow, or anytime next week.
There he goes. He's turning on the fan now. All right, and these people are going to pull those ropes. As you can see, I'll step into the picture here. They're pulling these ropes. There you go, right there. They hold on to those, and that keeps the balloon open. Okay. And then what he's doing is he's getting the flames all ready to go. He's got to hook something in there first so the whole thing doesn't fall apart. As you can see, it's quite a contraption. What you see directly behind his hands are the burners. And as Bill said, after you turn on the fan and blow it up, fill it with cold air, they will ignite those burners and then heat the air that is already inside. Now what he's putting on it is the hook that actually hooks the balloon onto the top of the gondola. Gotta make sure it's tight though. Don't want anything falling apart up there. Okay. Now they hold the balloon up. And you just heard the fan blow. There we go. So they get the balloon all set. Okay, and that woman again is holding on to one of the strings. The ropes that holds the balloon open. You can see it's kind of a tricky process with all the cables and the fans and the burners, not to mention this big balloon. All right, there's the fan. You just saw it pan down from the balloon into the gondola area. Okay, there we go. And pretty soon this thing's going to be full. We'll come back to it a little bit later on so you can see how it is inflating and when they turn the burners on. Back to you, Bill and Susan.
All right, if you're interested in coming out to the Balloon Fiesta, joining the 40 or 50 or 60,000 people behind us here, here's how you get out. You can come out up north, or at least to I-25, to the Osuna exit, and then go west on Osuna and come right on in. Then, or you can come out 4th or 2nd Street or Edith and get on Osuna Road and head east and get out here that way. Once you...
Be advised that the Osuna is going to be turning into a one-way from I-25 to the entrance, and also a one-way going the other way from Edith to the entrance. And it just helps to get all of this mass of people in here as quickly as possible and to get them out as quickly as possible. We invite you to join everybody out every morning this week. There'll be another mass ascension tomorrow, and also, during the week, many competitions, which are fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
We're going to go back to Emily Aiken out on the field. Boy, she's busy out there this morning.
Go
What
do
you
it,
got,
Em.
Emily?
I tell you, I'm not the only one that's busy. These guys out here are a lot busier than I am. They're starting to get ready to take off. You can see the balloon in front of me. It's silhouetted against the sandy mountains, so it looks like some giant light bulb or mushroom. It's absolutely beautiful. Blue and yellow. It's kind of waving in the wind. They're moving a little bit. Balloons all around, all sorts of balloons. Balloons with flowers, balloons that say Raven, balloons that say Remax, you know, little advertising, never hurt anybody. And Liberty balloons, all sorts of things. It's great out here, just beautiful. You can see that they're taking off. The first wave has begun. And what they do is they launch the balloons in such a way, according to the wind, so that after the first wave goes, it blows on over one-way part of the city. Bill this morning was saying that winds are going to be blowing towards the northeast heights. So look out your window. You might see a balloon land on your roof. They're going to blow over towards the city. Then the second wave will take off. After these balloons have significantly moved out of the way, the second wave will go on and lift up also. Then they have a third wave and a fourth wave. There are 4 waves which take off today, and they will also do this next Saturday as well. So by taking off in waves, they don't run into anybody. Got to be careful with safety out here. That's one thing you have to pay attention to. And you also have to pay attention to the winds, because they're the key factor here. There's the Ethicon balloon and the one with the flowers. Kind of like that one. Okay, there we go. They're getting ready to all take off in a little bit. Back to you, Bill and Susan.
All right.
Looks
Go
great.
ahead. Look, I was noticing the smoke from the Golden Knights has drifted pretty much toward the southeast, right toward the northeast heights. The balloons that have gotten underway so far are drifting that direction. It's not much of a wind. It can't be more than 2 or 3 miles an hour. They're going very slowly.
Which is absolutely perfect.
But yeah, that's just right. At least they don't all bump into each other going up in the same spot. They're drifting slowly up toward the city, and it ought to be quite a sight just about all over town. Let's go look at them and listen to us a little bit less here.
Tell them to give me audio.
now what I believe we're seeing is the Albuquerque box forming. Now, in case you don't know what that is, and many of you may not, what will happen is in the early morning hours, like we are right now, there tends to be a drainage wind in the low levels. It's a bunch of cold air that slid down off the mesas and the mountains into the Rio Grande Valley. That air tends to run right down the valley just like the river does. And so you get a north wind, or a wind from the north, at around 10 miles an hour or so. But as the balloons go up, they encounter winds of different directions. And the higher they go, the more the direction changes. So they're able, in this case, to drift south for a while, get up a little bit higher, and drift up toward the northwest. And then as they begin to come down again, they will tend to drift more toward the southeast. And it looks like they're going to be able to land just about in the same spot they took off. This is the famous Albuquerque box. We'll be right back.
Balloon day here during the Fiesta. What happens out here at the Weather Service?
Okay, the support we provide to the people, our forecasters here prepare a forecast package for the local weather conditions, surface winds, weather, some winds aloft. One of their representatives comes out to the office perhaps 5 o'clock in the morning, gets briefed, picks up this forecast information, also the observed winds aloft, which we've at that time gotten from the weather balloon we've released. Their representative takes the information then back to the contact of relatively clear skies during the night. A typical condition would be that
will drift toward the south right after takeoff, and that would put them right over central Albuquerque. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
It will no doubt surprise you to know that the quiet, elegant
Welcome back, New Mexico, to the 13th Annual International Balloon Fiesta. The second wave of balloons is about to go up. We'll be joining it. We want to tell you that one of our cameras is going up directly behind us on the other end of the field in the 77 KOB balloon, our sister station. So we'll be showing you some very pretty pictures. Lots of applause. Lots of good times here at the Balloon Fiesta. Why don't we watch it?
They're just spreading out.
Annual International Balloon Fiesta. We'll be back right after these messages. Mexico Fiesta Balloon. Welcome back, New Mexico, to Balloon Fiesta 84. I'm Susan Muchagimba. I'm here with Bill Eisenhood and our friend, and we've gotten lonely for her, Emily Aiken is somewhere down there in the mass of humanity and balloons with a gentleman from Phoenix who's going to tell us some more about ballooning. Emily.
That's right, Susan. I'm directly behind you. You can't see me, but I've got here with me the Arizona superstar, Tom Lilly, and what we are in is in the gondola. As you know, there's the balloon attached to the gondola, and this is a pretty important basket. Tell me, Tom, it looks like it's made out of cane or something.
Material. It's a wicker material, so it'll withstand a landing should we come down hard. It'll give a little bit.
Now, a wicker doesn't seem like it'd be that strong. Why is it made out of steel or something like that?
Well, because it'll give a little on the landing, and it's not rigid. And sometimes if we do come down a little bit fast, it'll take up some of the shock and not our legs or our arms or things like that.
Yeah, that must feel quite good then when you land instead of it landing on your legs, taking a shock on your legs. Now, Tom has got something in his lap. He's got a crazy contraption. I have no idea what it is. What is that?
Okay, these are our instruments that we fly by. One is an altimeter, tells us how high we are in the air. One's a pyrometer that tells us the heat of the air that's inside the balloon. That tells us we have certain temperatures we don't want to go over. We don't want to overheat the balloon.
Why, what happens? Does the balloon burn up?
No, it will not burn. It's ripstop nylon, and the material won't burn, but it'll get it's heat sensitive, and it's not dangerous, but it will deteriorate if you overheat it. So we try not to overheat it, and that's why we have a pyrometer.
Okay, so you watch the
altimeter.
The altimeter, the altitude that you go, the heat of the balloon.
Heat of the balloon.
All right. What's
and the third one's our vertical speed up or down, rate of climb or rate of descent. Because once you're up there about 500 feet, you can't get a reference as to how fast you're going up or falling. Your eye won't adjust until you're right above the ground. So we need.
And by that time, it's too late if you're going.
Yeah, it'll hurt if you're going too fast.
No matter how good your wicker basket is.
That's true, but it never comes down faster than a parachute. It's always at least that slow. Okay. But that's still good enough.
Okay, now you're in the fourth wave of this ascent, right?
That's correct.
Okay, just about ready to roll out the balloon.
Roll out the envelope. We'll be right after this balloon next to us.
Okay, good. Well, we'll be standing by watching you take off.
All right.
The Arizona superstar here. I'm going to go back to you, Bill and Susan.
All right. I have a couple of amazing facts here. You want to hear one?
We can't go far away without hearing your amazing facts. Okay.
A balloon is
What'd you believe?
A balloon is an aircraft, and like any other aircraft, they have to have well, in an airplane we call it a tail number, but it has to have what we call an N number in the United States. The registration number begins with N. It's followed by a series of numbers and letters. For instance, N38AC. I don't know if that balloon is here or not, but the 38AC is the bus size followed by the initials of the owner's wife.
Give me that.
I think that's
amazing. Yay! Yeah, sure. Give me another one, Bill.
Another one.
We're watching these. The third wave's just going to go up in a few minutes. We have time for one more.
Have you ever wondered why the gas balloons are so much smaller than the hot air balloons?
They're smaller. I didn't know.
Yeah, the helium balloons are. The reason is that helium has about 3 or 4 times the lifting power of heated air, of hot air. So a typical gas balloon will get about 60 pounds of lift per 1,000 cubic feet, whereas the hot air models deliver about 17 to 20 pounds per 1,000 cubic feet.
Amazing.
So they get the same amount of lift.
That is an amazing.
That is truly amazing. Why don't we just look at the balloons?
And what is behind us is amazing too. And there's not only balloons that we'll be seeing here. Later in the morning, you're going to see Jim Franklin's Wild Waco Air Show, and it is wild if you've not seen the man in his plane. At noon.
That is-
The Thunderbirds are
Oh,
going
yeah,
to be
that's-
flying
that's over at Kirtland
Kirtland
Air Force
Base. So just go outside and look toward the southeast, and you cannot miss them. It is a beautiful, beautiful sight.
You know, they have a terrific open house there, too, with a lot of airplanes out there on the deck. You can walk through a C-5 and look, climb up in some of these new fighters and have a look inside the cockpit and stuff. It's really very interesting.
About the same time is going to be the official balloon parade. That will be coming up. And then later this evening, if you're into country and western music, there's going to be a big country and western music fest at Civic Plaza. Kick up some heels.
The numbers had been doubling in many years, but now it's sort of leveled off. But
And I imagine now some replacement business, too. The balloons only last so many years. I suppose a lot of people are replacing their balloons.
what wears out on a balloon is the top part, where the heat is concentrated inside and the sun on the outside. And so some of the pilots will, at least for the first round, you can simply replace the fabric in the top of the balloon. It costs about $2,000 to $3,000 to replace that top part, and it gets the balloon in good enough shape. There's really not much stress or wear and tear on the bottom parts of the balloon. It's just where the load is. So it can be repaired and renovated. But of course, they like to have a new, pretty design.
Pueblos for people
Of what they want to have.
Let's go to Joe Diaz for a moment out in the field. Joe, you ready?
Yes, Johnny, as you know, this is an international balloon fiesta, and with me right now from South Africa is Alan Delbridge. And Alan, I guess the obvious question, why did you come all the way from South Africa to Albuquerque?
Well, because Albuquerque is just Albuquerque, and you've got to come and see Albuquerque. With 400 balloons taking off today, it's a phenomenal sight that I've never seen before in my life. That's one of the reasons, and the second reason is that we're staging in South Africa a balloon festival in May 1986 as part of the Johannesburg Centenary celebrations.
Pretty soon.
And we have a balloon
right
here
over
with
there.
Johannesburg 100 on it, which is we're taking around the world at various balloon festivals and inviting pilots to come to South Africa.
Sounds fantastic. How many balloons did you bring over here?
We brought 2 balloons over here with us for this week, which is quite a fair feat considering the distances we have to come here. Here we've got 2 balloons. One is the Johannesburg 100 balloon, looks like this, and the other one is the balloon of our national airline, South African Airways.
Now, Alan, I understand you've been flying since 1978. Is this your first trip to Albuquerque?
I'm afraid to say it is, yes. I've always heard about it and talked about it and seen phenomenal pictures, and eventually we got a whole bunch of guys together to come here. We brought a crew of 10 over here and some press guys, and already the guys are blowing their minds at what they've seen. It's phenomenal.
So being that this is your first fiesta, what is your reaction to all this?
It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's a beautiful sight to see all the balloons taking off here. So many wonderful, for example, we're learning a lot here from what we can do ourselves, but it is a hell of a privilege to be here and joining this participation, this event. It is but beautiful.
Okay, Alan, well, thank you for talking with us this morning.
And we're going to look at some more pretty pictures here. The third wave of the mass ascension is going up. We have I believe that was a picture from our 77 KOB balloon. We're going to start bringing you pictures from that as it's on its way up right now. So let's just go out and have a look.
We're out in the field now. As you can see, all these balloons are just going right up into the air, heading over towards the northeast heights of Albuquerque. I have with me here a man from Phoenix by the name of Will Cutter, and if Cutter sounds familiar, well, it is. His uncle started all of this, and your father did too, didn't he?
Yes, sure did.
Okay, you've been up in these things a lot, Will, and what I'm going to ask you is, once you get up there, how do you guide the thing?
Well, you just kind of follow the wind, go downwind, and hope there's open fields downwind to land in.
Okay, now many people aren't familiar with how air currents works and winds work. Do you have any device on the gondola or on the balloon where you can turn it to the left or turn it to the right?
Well, you kind of lean one way or the other.
Oh, really? Do you?
It doesn't help, but you kind of think that about every 100 feet the wind's a little bit different direction, and you kind of find the altitude you want and go that.
Okay, then how do you, if you want to go higher, how do you make it go higher?
Well, you just heat it up because hot air rises, so you heat it a little bit. You want to come down, you let it cool, and it comes on down.
Now, when you finally want to land after you've taken your voyage, how do you make it sit on the ground instead of keep going back up if the balloon is full of hot air?
Well, we have a maneuvering vent in the side that will dump some of the hot air out to keep it so it's not going up, still less buoyant, so it stays on the ground.
Okay, are there any tricks to flying these balloons?
Well, we kind of think there is, but...
Like what? Tell us one. Give away your secret.
I can't give away my secrets.
You don't want to?
Well, really, it's in racing, it's 90% luck and 10% skill. And usually the skill comes right at the end of the race, but we just go out and have fun, have a good time. That's the main reason we do it.
Now, do you have to have a license to fly the balloons?
Yes, license just like an airplane.
So they are regulated?
Right, by the FAA, and license, check ride, and the whole deal.
Okay, well, I see we're about ready to be bombarded by a balloon that's being inflated. Thank you very much, and have fun up there.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye. Back to you, Bill and Susan.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back.
At the tail end of the third wave of this mass ascension, 13th annual Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, the one they call the big one. Definitely.
Yes, I was just looking at some of the notes I have here. The cost of these balloons can range from anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, depending on the design and the amount of special equipment that they have in them. I didn't realize
there. A standard balloon, and then you can have a custom-built model with all sorts of wonderful things. They had the Playboy balloon out here several years ago, and it had a little stereo system and a little TV system.
Is that right?
It did. It really did. It was custom upholstered and everything.
I wonder if they have restrooms on the... Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
Probably not. They're also inspected each year for airworthiness, or either every year or every 100 hours, just like an airplane.
And pilots are tested every year, isn't it? It's every year or so that they have to go through to get their pilot's license. They get a pilot's license from the FAA, just like as a commercial pilot. There's a private balloon pilot, a commercial balloon pilot, and they have to go through written tests and solo tests, and they have to be so many times up in the air.
Are we back? Yes, we are.
Right. And those are our translator stations. I hope they're all enjoying this balloon fiesta. We were talking about balloons, costs, and pilots. And I think if you'll look at your monitor, Bill, the 77 KOB balloon, our sister station, is up in our cameras.
There we are, yeah.
Look at that. Right over.
Looking down. How'd you like to jump out and land right on top of that balloon down there?
The pilot below you would have a fit.
I was just noticing where the balloons are traveling here. They sort of go up and spray out in every direction, but the predominant direction does seem to be toward the southeast. But these are balloons that are in the first couple of 100 feet. The ones that are getting up a little higher seem to be drifting off toward the northwest. It's an absolutely perfect morning out here. I've never seen it this good.
Now, a number of the people, there are about 5,000 people that put on a balloon fiesta, many of them chase crew members, and you volunteer for a chase crew, and for that privilege you have to dress warmly and you have to wrestle with balloons and envelopes and propane burners, but sometimes you get a ride in the balloon. And I think, Bill, if you notice, You have some of the balloons that have taken off, and then they seem to have landed immediately, and then they take off again. That's just to take on and put off passengers. They want as many people as possible to be able to fly in a balloon.
Yeah, I believe you can purchase a balloon ride out here, too. There's several people taking people up for a few dollars.
From all over the country.
One thing you were mentioning before is how often they have to take an exam. They have a biannual flight review every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yeah. The same with a private pilot, airplane pilot.
And then you have a private balloon pilot and a commercial balloon pilot. Commercial balloon pilots who work with video companies and take people on rides. There's our camera up above the hinterlands in the KOB balloon.
You know, those wicker baskets they use, the wicker baskets, as we're looking at the view from the KOB AM balloon, the wicker baskets are virtually unchanged since, believe it or not, way back in the 18th century when hot air balloons first got started. Many other types have been tried, but this old design remains the best and most comfortable yet devised. They are designed to flex under impact, and if they're well treated, can last about 800 flying hours. The wicker baskets do wear out, but that 800 flying hours is about the life of 2 envelopes. That's a long time. 800 hours. That'd take you years and years to put that many hours on a balloon.
Oh, it's amazing. We're in the 201st anniversary. 201st anniversary of ballooning. From 10 years ago, perhaps you had 250 balloons. Now you have as many as 5,000. We'll be back for the 4th wave of mass ascension. Actually, that's a chase crew going out after the balloons.
They're going out after another case of beer is what they're doing.
Another case of beer. For the next couple of hours or so, you'll be seeing chase crews and balloons all over the city as they try to find each other.
This is only
one. Controlled mayhem.
This is the only week out of the entire year you can look cool sitting in the back of a pickup truck.
That's absolutely true.
The rest of the time you look like an idiot.
We'll be up for another hour or so, and then there's all sorts of things happening after.
Yeah, we got quite a day today. I want to remind everyone about the open house out at Kirtland Air Force Base. That's really neat. If you haven't been to one, it's worth seeing. And for one reason, at 12 noon at the base, the Air Force Thunderbirds will be performing. And then there's a big balloon parade at 1 o'clock this afternoon at 1:30 at Civic Plaza, a big country western music fest, and then from 4:30 to 7:30 down at 4920 Rio Grande Northwest, the Maxie Anderson Balloon Museum Benefit Barbecue.
And while we're talking about the Maxie Anderson International Balloon Museum, you know, for the way the sport has grown, there's only one real small museum for ballooning, and it's in Indianola, Iowa. Well, Maxie Anderson and the late Maxie Anderson, who was a great balloonist, his family in his memory want to bring ballooning museum to this, which is the capital of ballooning. I talked to Patty Anderson this week about this.
Maxie Anderson was the consummate Renaissance man, successful, multi-talented, but his dreams never strayed far from the arena of flight, especially flight in a balloon. And that is how he's remembered. We all shared the joy of his victories, the frustration of the failures. Finally, we all shared the sorrow when the man and his dreams were gone. But now the Anderson family invites us to share again with a museum dedicated to ballooning.
I know that Maxie would have, something like this would have stirred his imagination, and he did have quite an imagination. And his love of flight was so intense that I guess a lot of it rubbed off on me and the rest of the family.
Patty Anderson's waking hours focus on planning and fundraising for the Maxie Anderson International Balloon Museum, to be located here in the ballooning capital of the world, which is only fitting and proper. An exact location is yet to be picked. Land north of the new Natural History Museum near Old Town is available for the project, but the family is also looking at a more centralized location, possibly within the confines of the proposed festival marketplace downtown. They want the museum to be visible and accessible to the greatest number of people. Preliminary plans call for a dome structure large enough to house several inflated balloons, centuries of memorabilia, a library, auditorium, and a hands-on area for kids.
This community is so involved in ballooning, and so many kids run up and help in their own way when you land a balloon by the schoolyard or in their backyard. And we thought that it would be very nice if they could go up to a hot air balloon, the gondola, climb in and out of it, turn on the levers, maybe pull on a burner that would have possibly just a noise come out.
Of course, that all takes a lot of money, an estimated $7 million when it's all done, and much of it will come from donations from people like you and me. The Museum Foundation has all sorts of items of interest to whet our imaginations and attract our dollars, everything from T-shirts to engravings. It may take 2 to 3 years to raise all the money and get the museum underway, but Patty and the kids are patient.
We have grand plans. We would like, if it's going to be done, we would like to do it right, because we feel that Albuquerque, being the balloon capital of the world, ought to have the major balloon museum in the country.
And so again, we talk of dreams. Now, a die-hard balloonist might tell you a museum is too confining, that any building would be too confining to adequately display his art. But there are memories to be shared and imaginations to be sparked, and that is what you build dreams on. Someone like Maxie Anderson would understand.
He definitely would. Let's watch the sport that Maxie loves so well.
it gets very much over 10 miles an hour, it starts to be a problem. What happens is that while a balloon is in contact with the ground, it acts like a big sail. And it's quite tall, of course, and quite wide, and it'll start dragging.
And that, of course, was Bill, and that was our friend Kim Vesely, balloonist, balloon enthusiast, premier. Talking about winds and takeoff.
Yeah. No problems like that this morning, though. The balloons continue to drift up toward the north, and
our friend T.J. Lambert is down on the field. T.J., who do you have for us?
Actually, we're on the field and inside a balloon, and this is an AX-8. It is just one step below the biggest one that they make. Is that right?
Well, they make them up to 10, and this is an 8, and it is made by Raven, and it's called My Balloon, and we're out of Roswell, New Mexico. I'm John Ranson. My partners are Charles Worrell, Susan Lamb, and they're doing a dedication to our partner who was killed in an airplane accident Thursday night before coming down here, Tom Norcross. And we're going to stand the balloon up for Hutchison Proof for sponsoring us, and we certainly appreciate that. And we're going to have to deflate pretty quick and get to Roswell for a 2 p.m. memorial service for Tom Norcross in Roswell, and it's going to be held in the Featherstone hangar where he flew out of. And it'll be a short but sincere memorial to him per request his wife. And the balloon has a 1979 Raven, and we have about 200 hours on it now, and we come to Albuquerque every year and really enjoy it. We fly New Mexico almost every weekend down in Roswell.
On a happier note, you guys won an award last night at the awards banquet, and it seems as though the guys that won the award, a little bit of a wild crew you have. What was the award they won?
Outstanding Crew Award for this week for the best crew for performing and keeping the balloon in good shape, getting it up on time, and retrieving us well. And they did an outstanding job, and I'm really pleased and honored that they could receive this award, and we dedicated it to Tom Norcross in his memory.
We went out and we found some of the crew members when we were looking for you. These people are wild but conscientious, and there was no way that they couldn't have won the award. But as you can see, to give you an idea just how big this balloon is, I mean, look how small we look while we're just standing inside of this balloon. But this is something that you normally don't get to do, and we came through the vent where you let some of the air out if you want to come down, etc., right?
It's called a maneuvering vent, and it is mounted on the side on your Ravens. And this balloon holds 104,000 cubic feet of air. And our crew flew the only champagne glass in the awards banquet last night with about 25 balloons across the banquet floor. And that's just how our crew reacts to having a good time. We just really kept it going, and they just finished up the awards in an outstanding way.
One of the terms that they sometimes use is balloonatics. I think we found one of them. Back to you, Bill and Sue, as we leave my balloon out on the field.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you all. Congratulations to the chase crew from Roswell.
Yeah, that's
And that's
Shelley, our balloon pilot.
Shelley Cree, a balloon pilot, and I met, and she is flying, what balloon is she flying,
Sherry,
guys?
excuse me, her name is Sherry. That's the 77 KOB balloon.
Right. Smile for her, Sherry. She's a little busy.
I don't know if she knows she's on TV. Hi. Wave.
There you go.
All right.
Wonderful shot.
We're going to take
We have a large chase crew, and what the pilots really hope to do this week is give as many rides as they can. And so they take off and they land, and they take off and they land. And so we probably have had in excess of 10,000 landings this week.
That is amazing. It's amazing, and it's important. You know, when you think about sometimes and the accidents that do happen, hitting an electric wire and stuff, and when you look at it in the context of 10,000 takeoffs, it really, it's pretty amazing how safe the Fiesta really is.
It really is, and if you think about each balloon is probably carrying anywhere 2 or 3 people, so we're talking about 30,000 passenger flights.
And the Fiesta,
or more. That's a conservative estimate.
Definitely.
I don't think I could go down the ski slopes.
Pretty soon we're getting really big. Pretty soon we're going to have a permanent site.
There's no question about it. We know that we have this site for only 1 more year.
Oh.
And after that, we're going to need a permanent launch site of our own.
What is that going to take? How many acres and money or what? What exactly?
I don't believe that it was a very dangerous situation. And yes, I would do it again if such an opportunity arose tomorrow. I think I would.
Police say the 1976 Olds Omega may have been stopped on the highway or perhaps traveling too slow. Or whatever went wrong, they do know the 18-wheeler smashed into it with such force the car was carried some 200 yards down the westbound lane of I-40, finally stopping just beneath the underpass. There, the fuel tanks of both vehicles exploded, creating heat so intense steel and aluminum melted. Firefighters used some 2,500 gallons of water to douse the fireball. When the two collided, the Omega's driver was thrown out of her car and under the crushing wheels of the truck. She has now been identified as 41-year-old Frances Jimenez of Albuquerque. The driver of the semi-truck, 56-year-old Clarence Shulman of Gering, Nebraska, was taken to the hospital with 2nd and 3rd degree burns to his left foot. At this point, authorities have 2 major concerns. One, of course, is to clean up the wreck so traffic can resume here on I-40. The other is structural damage to the overpass.
There is some damage to it. We've got the State Highway Department out here. They've got inspectors that are going to inspect it. And until they determine that the bridge is safe, then they'll allow traffic over it. If not, whatever's appropriate.
Highway crews say they just don't know when the 2 thoroughfares may be reopened. Clay Wright, Eyewitness News Network.
An accident